Welcome to the Spark Good podcast, your weekly dose of inspiration, strategies, and stories that will ignite your passion for making a difference through your business. I'm your host, Stephanie Malon-Rufi, and together we will dive into the world of entrepreneurship and small business and explore how we can harness its power to spark good and change how we do business. I believe in the incredible potential that business can have in making a positive social impact, and I want to help you discover how you can better align your business goals with meaningful causes and contribute to a better world. Plus, you'll learn how to nurture your own well-being, change traditional rules that might be holding you back, and thrive in your role as a social business owner. All right, let's dive in. Hello, and thank you so much for joining me here on the Spark Good podcast. I'm really excited to share with you this week's episode. This is a very tactical episode. I'm going to go through an exercise that's really walking through a framework that's helping you to clarify offers that you have in your business, assess offers that you have in your business. You know, it's really important that we check in with what it is we're offering. You know, at a minimum, that's something to do once a year. And as we come to the end of the year, it's always a good time to do that. And this episode is actually the start of a few that I'm going to share over the coming weeks of giving you some exercises, some ideas, tips for things that you can do as you finish out the year to do that assessing and reflecting, and also to start thinking for the next year. And if you like some of what you're hearing, I would also recommend that you join me for a strategic planning event. This is going to be happening on Friday, December 8th. There will be more information forthcoming, but this is going to be a live workshop with a recording available. So it's going to be a wonderful opportunity for you to take that time that is so necessary to really dive into how this year is wrapping up for you and what you want to accomplish and plan for 2024. So again, I will be giving more information about that, but I just want to put that on your radar if that's something that is of interest to you. Again, it's a live workshop. I'm going to have a workbook available as well, and the recording available. So if it's something that you want to take the recording and go do a day retreat to plan your 2024, you can do that as well. But let's get into today's topic, which really is helping you to evaluate what the offers are that you have and kind of get a snapshot of where you are. So you can definitely follow along. It's not overly complicated, but it's so important. Okay, so I'm going to the first topic is the what, right? What are you offering? And also, what is the price? And this is really important to be really clear on what it is that you have, because, and how many options do you have? Now, obviously, if you have products, you might have dozens of who knows how many products, right? Although I would guess that you might have product categories. And so this might be a time to kind of look at those categories. But if you have more of a service-based business, or if you have a business that does consulting or training, learning, coaching, right? A lot of those different areas, you should have just a handful of offers. So you don't want to have too many offers. And actually, what I would suggest is that as I go through these different categories, you go through each of your offers with these different questions that I'm going to go through. So just the first one is, if you were to write down, what are your offers? I would also preface this by saying this might be kind of your primary offers, the ones that you talk about on your website, the ones that most commonly people know about the work that you do. And I say that because if you go to my website, I have 3 core offers, right? I have a Spark session, which is kind of one of those pick my brain strategy session. You've got me, ask all the questions you want, or we can talk through a certain topic. That's just a very kind of one and done. I also offer an intensive offer, and that is where we have intense time together. There's a certain topic, right? Maybe we're mapping out your own offer, for example. And so we're really spending that time trying to flesh out something, maybe work through a challenge. We have that intense time together, and then I offer 6 weeks of support after that. My third offer is my one-to-one coaching package, which is a 6-month offer. Those are my 3 main offers that you can see on my website. Now, it turns out I also do some group facilitation. I also will do strategic advising, but those aren't offers that you necessarily know about up front. And I make this point because you can still have additional work that you do, but we're talking about what are your main offers when people come to your website, when they first learn about you, that these are what they're seeing. These are what you are known for, especially to new clients or customers. So I want you to write down each of the offers and then what is the price of those offers. Now, if you're hemming and hawing, then that is right there an indicator that, wow, I should really hone in on a consistent price for this, right? A lot of times if you're in consulting, this even is true with training and speaking, sometimes you have to customize what your proposal is for the client. However, you should still be able to have a range of what the price is. You should have a really good sense of what are the different factors, right? If it's a 60-minute presentation, it's this price. 90 minutes is this price. So you should at least, kind of in your own space as you're looking at it, be able to know what the price is, what the range is, and just have a really good grasp on that. So that's the first category. What is it you're offering very clearly, and what is the price? Now, the second category, and again, I want you to look at each of your offers that you are thinking about, maybe even writing them down. The second question is why? And this is about why people want to buy your offer and what's making it unique. Okay, it's not about your why necessarily, but this is more, okay, why are people coming to you? Why are they attracted to this offer? What makes it unique? What's that special sauce that you're adding? So that's the second category. Again, for each offer, it might be a similar answer for each offer and it might not. So I would suggest taking a moment and thinking about that. Okay, the third category. This is super important. This is the who. It's the who is your offer for and who are you selling to? This question in particular can be really helpful when you're even just thinking about your marketing and sales process. Because sometimes who the offer is intended for is not always the same person that you're selling to. In fact, this happens fairly frequently. For example, perhaps you are, selling college advising services, helping juniors in college to prepare, juniors in high school to prepare for the college search, right? So your offer is geared towards the high school student that you're helping to prepare. That's who your offer is for. But who are you selling it to? You might have 2 different people, right? Categories of people you're selling to. The one hand, you are selling to that high school student because if they don't have buy-in, then your offer is probably not going to work as well. But the other who is maybe their parents or their guardian, whoever's going to be making that final decision and actually paying you the money for your service, right? So there you have an example of who the offer is for, not necessarily that's who you're selling to, or it's an addition to who has the decision-making power. This happens a lot of times if you're selling to organizations. You might be, maybe you're selling a training package as professional development for a certain group of individuals inside a company. But who is the person that you're selling to that you need to say yes and make the decision is different than who that group of people is that you might be selling to, right? So it's really important to break this apart and spend time thinking about the different categories of who that you might have for each of your offers. Okay, the fourth category is when. When do you offer these products or services, right? Is there a seasonality that might be based on demand? It might be based on even like literally the seasons, right? I mean, there's a lot of lawn care, snow removal companies, right? They do both. Why do they do both? There's 6 months out of the year where they need lawn care and 6 months of the year where they need snow removal services. At least that's the case where I am in the Twin Cities of Minnesota. But another example might be another offer that I've already talked about today, is my strategic planning, this annual planning package that I've had for the past few years. And it is something that I only offer in the last few months of the year. I don't even talk about it other times of the year. I will set up its own landing page, write my own sales page for it, but it's seasonal. I only have it up when I'm selling it, and otherwise you don't see it the rest of the year. Okay, the fifth category is where. So where are you selling? And now recognize sometimes these are called channels. And where does this happen, right? Because you can have one offer that can be sold in different places. This often happens with products, for example. You might sell products directly off your website for people to buy and have them sent to you. Or you might sell a product typically at a wholesale price to a retail outlet, right? A gift store. And then people are going in the gift store and that's where they're buying your product, right? Super simple example. This even happens again with services. Even for me, I work with a lot of people who are in the Twin Cities. Sometimes I am meeting them in person and having a live in-person sales conversation. That's how somebody's connecting with me and learning about what my offers are. I also work with people all over the country, in fact, all over the world. And people can connect with me. A lot of times my website is that first point of access where people learn about me and my services and then connect with me that way. So they might be reading the written form, my website, whereas if I'm in person, sometimes people learn directly from me. Another example. But where are you selling each of your offers? And the sixth category that's really important to spend some time thinking about, and this often, I would say, is a place that people might make tweaks. A lot of times people tweak their offer, they tweak their pricing, and then this last category is another place where people will often make those kind of tweaks, and that is the how. How are you delivering your products or services? How might others even be involved in that process, right? So that's, for example, if you have a team, if you have people working for you, they might be part of that process. If you're onboarding a coaching client, you might have an admin person that helps to make sure certain paperwork is done, right? Kind of helps to check those boxes just to get that onboarding done for your client. Likewise, the way that you are delivering, right? There's different platforms to use, right? You can meet with them on Zoom. You could communicate via emails. You can communicate with your clients using Slack. You could use a private community group, such as on Circle, right? So there's different tools that help you to deliver your product or service. That's even true for, if you think about for shipping, right? If you're shipping products, how's that happening? What provider are you using for that? Are you having a good experience? Are your products arriving safely and as beautifully as you packed them, right? So that's that how piece. You can probably see as I'm even talking about it, that there is a lot of room to kind of tweak and refine that as well. And that is it. So I'm going to go through those 6 categories again. I hope this was helpful. I do encourage you even to just get a blank piece of paper and kind of walk through this and look at each offer, right? So number 1, what is it? What are your offers? What are your main offers? Kind of what are the key features of them? And what is the price? 2, why? Why are people wanting to buy this? What makes it unique? What's your value add or your special sauce? 3, who are you selling to and who is the offer for? Keeping in mind there could be at least 2 different who's that you need to consider. 4, when? When are you offering this? Is there a seasonality to the offer? Does demand fluctuate throughout the year? 5, where? Where are you selling? Where are the different channels, the different outlets that this happens? And 6, how are you delivering your services, your product, your offers? How are others potentially involved in that process? All right. So remember, this is just to kind of give you a snapshot. And this is a wonderful time of year to just sit down and do this exercise because it is going to prime you to get ready to do that annual planning because you might have some things bubble up, right? You might decide, ooh, I need to take this offer off the table. You might decide, oh, I do have a second who that I'm selling to, and I'm not really doing a great job of marketing and selling to that who. You might decide, oh, there's a new tool I think I need to bring in, or I need to refine my onboarding process when I'm delivering my offer. So again, that's why doing this exercise is super helpful. Thank you for joining me again today, and I look forward to continuing to connect and guide and inspire you next week. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Spark Good podcast. If you haven't yet, please subscribe or follow to the podcast and leave a rating and review so more people can listen and find us. Also, let's connect. You can head over to my website at www.sparkgood.net where you can subscribe to my mail list and set up a time for us to have a virtual coffee chat. Thank you for joining.